Hey guys, Dale here, back with a brand new RimWorld series. This is going to be part zero. So, for those of you that are new to the channel, part zero, we're just going to go through um, the mods and just kind of how the game is set up. We will actually start the playthrough in part one. So, for anyone that's interested in kind of like looking at the key mods, looking at some of the mods that I've edited, getting to go deep on our ideologian and our initial base plans. This is the episode to start with. But if you just kind of want to like see how things progress as we play the story, go ahead and skip this episode. So we are doing a Star Wars Clones versus Droids series. And I guess the first thing that we'll do is what we always do. We'll pop open Graphics Setter. And we'll just take a look at just like tons of mods adding tons of content. So vanilla textures, expanded facial animations, mechanoids, of course, a bunch of the Outer Rim series of mods, vanilla psycasting, alpha animals, all that fun stuff. So let's take a look over, I guess, at some of these mods. You guys might be familiar with Outer Rim. We've used it a lot. We've had a lot of Star Wars playthroughs. And so just kind of taking a look, it adds new research buildings, adds new production facilities, adds a lot of Star Wars themed stuff. And as playing as the Galactic Empire, we're obviously using the Galactic Republic mod, not the Galactic Empire, but we're the Republic. Yeah. So primarily, we're gonna have clone troopers make up our army. There's functionality in this mod if you play with the clone trooper start to have clone troopers arrive on fixed intervals. So I think by default it's something like until you have 8 people, you'll get a clone trooper every 7 days. And I think what we've done is like a clone squadron is like 9, I guess, in canon. I think we're going to have our squads be like 6. And so I want to have a couple squadrons around the base at all times. So in addition to clones, we might recruit some people. We do have a couple Jedi leadership leading this clone army. So we've set it, I think we've left it at every 7 days, but we'll have clones arriving until we have 15 total colonists. So, but yeah, tons of armor, tons of weapons. We've used some of these weapons before, especially like this DC-15, but we haven't played with any of the clone armor really. And so I'm pretty excited about that. And our colony will primarily be these clones. So the thing that I'm really, really excited about is the Outer Rim Separatist mod. And so this will be our main antagonist throughout this next series. We'll have 2 separatist factions that we've kind of renamed, and those will be droid armies, as you see here. They're on a world that has had kind of a rebel insurgency, and so the Empire faction, we're using the Imperial Remnant mod, that kind of reskins the royalty empire into an Imperial Remnant. We've reskinned that mod again, and there'll still be Imperial officer uniforms and some Imperial Army outfits, but instead of Death Troopers, we're gonna have them wearing other armor from the Outer Rim series. So there's composite armor, there's padded armor, there's chitin armor, and so instead of Death Troopers, we'll see that armor around, so that it feels a little less like it's meant to be the Empire, and it feels more like it's supposed to be this custom faction for this world. So that's the first mod edit that I've done. The other hostile faction that we're going to have around is the Vanilla Factions Expanded Mechanoid, the Total War functionality here. So there'll be like ships landing. We probably won't be building anything from this mod, but there'll be another threat for us to deal with. Some of these mechanoids have like custom skins, and so I haven't altered any of those, but the base game vanilla mechanoids, I am using the mod that I also altered for deserters to make the mechanoids appear more Star Warsy. So what you'll notice is that we'll have we'll have battle droids that look like this. But we'll also have battle droids that look like the droid skins that we used in the Deserters series. And I kind of intentionally didn't sync those up just so that it would be easier to tell apart, like, oh, this is supposed to be a mechanoid versus, oh, this is the Confederate of Independent Systems faction. So we'll see how that feels when we get into the game. And if it's a little like too many different textures, then I might go through and like reskin that with the Outer Rim robots. So we'll see. Cloning. We aren't necessarily doing cloning to build up our army. We're going to take advantage of that feature that allows us to get a new clone trooper every 7 days, predominantly to like fill our ranks. But there is going to be a cloning aspect to the series. So you guys will have to hang around to see what that's like. Forian's naturalized genome. So this just takes xenogenes, and makes them endogenes using the biosculptor. And so potentially that's going to play into the cloning practices that we'll implement in the series. Alpha biomes, the whole world is pretty much Feralist jungle. I think there are some like propane wastes or whatever, and there's like maybe tar pits, but this is a Feralist jungle world. So even on our own map, I don't know. I haven't played a Feralist jungle in a long time, but I assume that it's going to be full of spiders, and I assume that they're going to be hungry for us constantly. And of course, alpha animals, so that we can get some of those alpha animals populating our alpha biomes. Vehicles is something that we're going to try out. Really limited on the vehicles though, because I wanted stuff to still feel like it might fit into the Star Wars world. So we have SRTS and we have the Star Wars skins for that. But I saw, like, when I saw this hovercrafts mod, I was just like, oh, I want to play with like a hover car. But it also comes with a hover truck and a hover tank. And so I'm like, okay, I could see clone troopers, mounting an assault with hover tanks. Not necessarily like a Star Wars reskin or theme, but feels like it could fit into a Star Wars playthrough. So we'll see about building some of those and using some of those for our assaults on these droid armies. And then light cycle, I feel like, not quite Star Warsy, but I'm not sure what other series I would play a light cycle with. So we'll see how this goes. I'm intrigued about the gun on top. So functionally, like how it works in combat and all that stuff, we'll kind of like learn together. Other mods that I've modded, let me pull up my list real quick. So the Force, just kind of like the standard, changes there. There is a Force retexture mod, and so I've incorporated some of those retextures right into this mod pack itself. But then I also found these great like Jedi cloaks and Jedi tunics from the KOTOR mods. And I was like, well, I could just add that mod, or I could customize them. So the cloaks, the tunics, where's the apprentice tunic? These all have like psychic stats on them. And I wasn't interested in everything in the KOTOR mods, so just picking a few things from those mods. Solar Flare Shield. There are a couple reskin mods for this, and I just grabbed those reskins and dumped them straight into the mod itself. Didn't do any changes to Outer Rim, Galactic Republic, or Core, but I renamed those folders just so it was easy for me to find the assets I needed in order to update the Imperial Remnant, the Empire. And then the biotech texture rescale. This is the mod that I use to kind of update the mechanoids. So we'll have Apocrytons that look like this guy, and we'll have Militors that look like battle droids and all that fun stuff. Okay, so let me go ahead and load up our save, and we'll do a little like base tour of the plans. Okay, so this is our starting crew. We got 4 troopers, a couple Jedis, our general and our Padawan, and then a couple droids. So that's how it starts with the clone trooper start. This is what our map looks like. It's a like 275 by 275 map, so just like a little bit bigger than the default map. It's usually what I play on. Occasionally I'll play on a lot bigger map. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steam geysers that I've marked on the map, and this is our base. So we're just kind of like double walling the exterior. This is going to be our main entrance, and so the red here is supposed to represent different turrets. So we'll have some large turrets, some medium turrets, some smaller turrets. We'll use the like turbo lasers from the Star Wars mods, and then this wall will probably be just like security barricades, so that's where we'll kind of like line up to meet most threats in this field. And then of course various doors, a fallback position here. This will be embrasures, and the orange will be doors, so we can stand in there and fire over the turrets if we need to. And then over here, little barracks, dining room. This will be a rec hall eventually. This will be our hospital as well as some more barracks space. And typically when I'm getting started, the building that becomes the hospital is usually the building that I'll first build. So we put some plans down. We have like a little kitchen and food storage over here. We'll do some farming hydroponics stuff outdoors down here. And then we have some little like security checkpoints here. So some more barricades and turrets just at various places around the base in case we get drop pods or in case we get breachers or something like that. These buildings, not clearly defined yet. I think these will be crafting and potentially storage buildings. And then up here is going to be an interesting building. This is going to be Ahra Kiri's like pet project. So what she has kind of like convinced the Jedi Council that she needed to bring an army to this world to do. So all the white will be probably just concrete, just like paths around the base. And then some of these open spaces will be for like ships and tanks and all that other fun stuff. Let's take a look at the world real quick. So this is Yskar. I like this like little island continent. I did move the factions around to make it look like they have their kind of like little territories. So down here we have some moisture farmers. It looks like a pretty moist world, so potentially just farmers. We do have a savage tribe that's kind of like clustered in locations around the world. Like I said, most of it is Feralisk infested jungle. There's some mycotic jungle, pyroclastic conflagration, and way up there, propane lakes. So yeah, not too much variety here. I did disable the vanilla biome, so we don't have any of those at all. We have a kind of faction of just like what is it? Binary Star Raiders. So these will be Star Wars themed, basically Outlanders. And then we have some pirates up here. Both the tribal and the pirate factions with the I think with the Imperial Remnant mod. No, not with the Imperial Remnant mod. There's a mod that's dependent on Imperial Remnant that patches the vanilla factions to make use of Star Wars weapons. So we should see them showing up with blasters and all kinds of stuff. And then we kind of have like a hot mess going on here that looks like 3 different separatist factions, and that's what they are. So we have the Yskar separatist army. So these will be predominantly droids that would be raiding us. And then over here in the green, we have the Confederacy of Independent Systems. And so this will be more droids raiding us. And then in the white is the Yskar Revolutionary Imperium. So this is the Empire faction, and this will potentially be human-like pawns, and potentially we'll see them in the Galactic Empire Army outfits and officer uniforms, as well as the composite armor for their heavy troopers and stuff. And so I think our goal, like basically what we're playing, we do have some Galactic Republic factions down here. We're operating as the Yskar Forward operating base. And so our troops that we get as reinforcements, we assume are coming from this little garrison of bases down there. And we are setting up position so that we can begin an invasion on all of these separatist forces and kind of rid the world of the separatist influence. So that'll be one of our primary goals. Let's go ahead and we'll pop back here. We do have a couple ideologians. So we have Grand Army of the Republic, and this is what our troopers will be. They're loyalist, human primacy, bulk work with increased blunt armor, monastic. So they they are all about the abstinent lifestyle. They're also fine with rough living. They only want to use drugs for medical use, and it makes them all ascetic, which is great because the style of their bedrooms is going to be really, really terrible. But I'm really excited. So you guys will you guys will see once we get some of them built. And then we also we also have the Jedi Order. And so, of course, our 2 Jedi are part of that Jedi Order faction or ideologion. And so they are loyalist, human primacy, psychic focus, and gladiator. And so they have increased combat prowess in melee, which they don't necessarily need, but it felt like it thematically made sense. So, yeah, I think that is kind of the primer on the world and the mods and all that other stuff. Of course, there are tons of other mods, so look in the description below of any of the videos in this series for a link to the mod pack. The mod pack will also contain a link to my starting save file, so if we hit load game and load this, you guys will load in right basically where you saw me load in. Zoomed in on our 6 dudes. Yep, there we go. And with the base plans down, with our initial box of a room setup, I've also set up their schedule, their initial work plans, and their outfits. So clone troopers, Ahra Kiri, and Zitro have individual outfits. There are a couple other outfits that we're not using yet. Default is just clone trooper fatigues. And the Republic officer one is Republic officer outfit. So we might have some clones that are doing more administrative or non-combat work that aren't going to be armored up. And then droid wise, I haven't even talked about the droids. So with the droid depot mod, there are all kinds of droids that we can build. They come pre-named, I guess. So this little gong power droid's named Voodoo. And basically, if you just set him to hibernate near some batteries, we have a little hibernation spot and batteries that are going to go in, he'll just recharge those. And then our little R2 unit, his name is Kilo for now, he is able to do hauling, cleaning, and research. So we might turn research on for him at some point, but this little droid menu is where you can kind of control what jobs these droids do. Different droids have different levels of intelligence and capability, and you can kind of check the things that you want them to do on and off here. And some of them even show up as pawns in your colonist bar, and you manage their work as you would a regular colonist. So a protocol droid, for example, will show up here. But yeah, I think that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out. As always, until next time, have a good one. Bye.